October, there have been more than 1 million migrant encounters at America's borders. Joining us now, Texas Senator Ted Cruz. Senator, thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate your time today. I want to start with a bigger picture question to you. If there's one thing you want people to understand about the ramifications and the damage that an open border has done to this country, especially ahead of the upcoming election, what would it be? And also, Republicans don't want to pass this proposed immigration bill, but can they afford to wait?
Well, what's happening at the southern border is the greatest threat our country is facing right now. It is nothing short of an invasion. 10.6 million people have crossed illegally since Joe Biden became president. When you see it firsthand, if you haven't seen it before, I promise you, as bad as you think it is 1,000 times worse. Every day, a constant stream of humanity coming across. When you see the dead bodies, last year 853 migrants died crossing illegally into the country. When you see the dead bodies on Texas farms and ranches of elderly people and pregnant women and infants and toddlers abandoned to die, when you see the little children, little boys and little girls who've been brutalized by human traffickers, when you see the women who have been repeatedly and violently raped by human traffickers, when you see the more than 100,000 Americans who died of drug overdoses last year, you can't defend this anymore. This is a humanitarian crisis. It's a public safety crisis. It's also a national security crisis. The exposure we have as war wages in the Middle East, as Hamas has declared jihad on the United States of America, we today face the greatest threat of a major terrorist attack in any time since September 11th, 2001. And all of this is deliberate. All of this is what Joe Biden and the Democrats want to happen.
Senator, you've beefed up border security in Texas in a way that's really worked. It's been great for Texas. But the problem is you've got other states in the southern border who have not done the same thing. And so what's happened is the flow has moved from Texas to California and elsewhere. And as you mentioned, it's devastating. So here's my problem. I get why you didn't like the border bill along with the foreign aid bill. But if nothing happens and states like California do nothing, then America's going to see the same flow of migrants, the same financial problems, and it's going to get measurably worse this year, sir. What can you do from a legislative standpoint to deal with the fact that some states just aren't going to be as responsible as Texas has been?
Well, understand, we have to act. This is a crisis. The reason I oppose the Chuck Schumer border bill is it didn't secure the border. It wasn't intended to secure the border. That bill would have put into law, it would have codified Joe Biden's open borders. It would have put into law and codified catch and release, which is what has caused this crisis. It would have paid billions of dollars to sanctuary cities and to nonprofit organizations that are facilitating the human trafficking. Not only that, it would have normalized 5,000 illegal immigrants a day. That's 1.8 million a year. That means we would have seen over 6 million under Joe Biden's presidency, and it would normalize that every year into perpetuity, 2 million a year, 2 million a year, 2 million a year. On top of that, those people who came illegally, it gave immediate work permits, and for some of them, it assigned them taxpayer-funded lawyers at the border. This was designed by Democrats to keep this open border invasion in place forever. That's why I opposed it. Now, you ask, what can we do? What we can do is we can pass H.R. 2. H.R. 2 is the strong border security legislation that the House of Representatives took up and they passed. It's designed to end catch and release, to build the wall, to stop the open borders Joe Biden has put into place. In the Senate, I introduced H.R. 2. I'm the author of H.R. 2 in the Senate. And Chuck Schumer and the Democrats said, absolutely not. And the reason, understand the reason, it's because they want this open border chaos to continue. They look at 10.6 million illegal immigrants and they see future Democrat voters. And if people have to suffer and die for them to get a political advantage, they're willing to make that trade-off.
Senator, I'd like to switch gears with you a little bit if I can. You've been a big advocate of demanding that big tech be held
accountable for online protection for kids and enhancing some of those protections. Where for you, though, is the fine line between holding them accountable but also not stifling innovation with over-rigorous regulation?
Well, look, it's a great question, and we need to do both. If you look at big tech, the power that has been amalgamated into big tech is massive. It is unprecedented in the history of our country in terms of the size and economic power of the big tech giants. When it comes to free speech, I think big tech poses the single greatest threat to free speech and to democracy because they have in recent years been willing to be utterly biased, to silence voices they disagree, to elevate voices they agree with, and to use it as a stranglehold on the public square. When it comes to our kids, big tech has been crass and craven, putting the almighty dollar over the interest of our children. I'll tell you, I'm the father of 2 teenage girls. It is terrifying that these stupid idiot boxes that we put in their hands are portals that bring in every evil force in the planet to our children. We just had a hearing in the Senate Judiciary Committee where Mark Zuckerberg testified, and I asked Zuckerberg, and I said, look, Facebook, when someone searched for child porn, put in and was looking for explicit graphic sexual images of children being abused, you'd get a warning scene on Facebook that says, this looks like you're looking for child porn. Would you like to get some counseling, or would you like to proceed to the images anyway? And as I asked him, what the hell were they thinking, saying, go on and show me the child porn? That is simply they're looking to make a buck. And I've asked Zuckerberg, I've asked Facebook repeatedly, how many people clicked on show me the images anyway? And of those people, did you investigate them? Did you report them to law enforcement? Yeah. Did you rescue the children who are being abused? And he just shrugged and said, I don't know.
Senator, can I ask you, because you have had conversations with Elon Musk in the past, and obviously he wants to move some of his business interest to Texas now as a result of what's happened with him in Delaware. Do you still talk to Elon Musk?
I do. Elon has become a friend. I think Elon's decision to step in and buy Twitter was the single biggest step for free speech in decades. And it changed the playing field. You know, big tech had an oligopoly. There were a handful of all-powerful companies, and they kept all the information quiet and hidden. And what Elon did when he bought Twitter and he turned it into X is that he went open kimono. He released all of the emails internally that made clear they were blatantly, deliberately censoring. They were doing so at the explicit behest of the Biden White House, of Democrats in Congress, that it had a partisan objective that if you said something they disagreed with, they would silence you. He made clear, for example, in the 2020 election that Twitter and Facebook openly worked with the White House, openly worked with the FBI to help Joe Biden and to hurt Donald Trump, and in particular, to suppress any discussion of the Hunter Biden laptop, a story that was true, a story that was accurate, a story that demonstrated Joe Biden's personal corruption. But yet Twitter and Facebook said, if you cannot see this story on our platform, you cannot share this story on our platform, we will block it. Why? Because we don't want Trump to win. We want Biden to win. It is election interference at a level never seen before.
Senator Cruz, we so appreciate your time today. Thank you for being here.